Hello, Jim Marshall of the New Bedford Cable Network, and today we are in conversation with Tony Danza, and I should say star of stage, screen, Broadway, an author. As my son said, my 18-year-old son says, what doesn't he do?
Like that kid.
And it's great to talk to you. Thanks for coming. You
Thanks.
are performing at the New Bedford Zeiterion Performing Arts Center on Friday night.
I think we call it the Z, don't we?
Yep, we call it the Z, the Zeiterion Performing Arts Center. Tony Danza, Standards and Stories.
Right.
It's going to be a great night. I know there's a great buzz about you coming to town. You tell us a little bit about the show.
Well, it's really a little bit mind-boggling, to tell you the truth, Jim. You write something and it really works, and so yeah, it's crazy, and it also corresponds with a little bit of maturing that I've gone on as a performer. So it sort of all came together. It's basically self-explanatory. It is a show about standards and some stories, both personal and professional. I try to get some laughs. I tried to, and we sing a little. We got a great band. We got the best band you've ever heard, and 4 guys. And I try to make a connection with the audience. I mean, I try to, through the stories and through the songs that we choose, we try to make a real connection with the audience, something that relates to them, that has related to me in the past, and so on. And
I would assume that
some laughs too.
Yeah, absolutely, and you're known for that. I would assume that some of your influences in your career, or that you looked up to, are going to be sort of featured in this show.
Yes. Well, certainly, there's a long piece in the show. I talk about my mom, and my mother was a Frank Sinatra-ophile. She was. Her love and adoration for Frank Sinatra, the man and his music, and she sort of, by osmosis, I gained it, and so we talk about him, and he's certainly a somebody that I got to know him too, Jim. That was one of the great things.
That's got to be a thrill too.
Yeah. So it's like it's really funny. I just did a show. I just did a week at the Catalina Jazz Club on Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood, and Tina Sinatra came. So so it's pretty cool. But it really is just it's a labor of love. I get to go up there and sing some songs with a great band and tell some stories, get some laughs. I tap a little bit, and my secret weapon comes out.
I took my ukulele down to Madame Ruth. You know that gypsy with the gold-capped tooth. She's got a pad down on 34th and Vine. She sells little bottles of love.
You have, people don't. I don't think people realize you tap dance. You play the ukulele. You play instruments. You multi-talented.
Well, I'm a late in life bloomer. I talk about this in the show. One of the things is that I kind of wasted my childhood. You know what I mean? I wasn't interested in much, and I didn't realize that in order to be interesting, you have to be interested. This came to me a couple of weeks ago. I'm a lot better now. But my point is that that's what the show's about. It's about a career that's spanned a lot of years, and really trying to entertain in a way that I don't think many people are doing anymore. You either do loud concerts or you do comedy shows. This is it almost reminds me of like the old variety shows.
Yeah.
And I'm the host and all the acts.
Relationships, reading articles about you, seeing interviews, relationships are so important to you. Family. Yeah. Your work relationships with your family. You seemed close with people that you work with now, that you worked with in the past. I don't see a lot of people talk about. You seem to have friends, I guess, from spanning these generations. That's amazing.
Well, it's it says something. That you and one of the things you have to do is you have to maintain those friendships. You have to. You got to take care of them. You got to reach out. You got to make sure they're they're ongoing. It's but I've been lucky. I've been so lucky. I've been with so many great people in my career, whether it be the people on Taxi, who we still Zoom every month. We still Zoom together.
Wow.
I just saw them all. They all came to the show. Brooks and Mary Lou, and I mean it was unbelievable. But that group, and then there's the Who's the Boss group, which and Jim, I don't know how else you do it. If you're with people every day for 5 years, 8 years, and you watch them grow up. I mean, Alyssa was 10 years old when she started with me, and she was 18 when we finished. And so,
well, it almost sounds like too. It almost sounds family. I mean, I know your family's important to you. You wrote a book with your son, and you talk about your family,
right?
But it's a work family, and the audience is sort of a family to you.
Well, I tell you something. When I do this show, especially this show, because it is so personal, I really have to thank the audience at the end, because it's like they're part of it. They're really part of it, a part of the show, and it changes every night because it's a different audience. And that's what's one of the joys of doing it. It's really, I'm telling you, Jim, it's like a gift. It's like
one of the things that amazes me is people don't know. Maybe people do. They don't know. You're an athlete. You did sports as a kid. Boxing, wrestling, baseball. You're a huge baseball fan.
Right. Yeah, I took it as sports this year with the Yankees. Yeah.
Yeah. How has sports helped you with your performing?
Well, I was a professional fighter, so I think that discipline that you get from fighting. You're always worried the other guy's training, so you stay in shape. So I mean, I think the discipline absolutely makes a big difference, and I just think also that boxing is even boxing, even though it's an individual sport, there's a team involved, and when you play sports, it's a team. And when you do a show, like my band and I and the road guy, we're a team. And it's a team, and I talk about being on Broadway. That's the greatest team effort of all time, trying to do a Broadway musical. So there's a lot of things that overlap, but at least the camera doesn't beat you up. That's the good news.
One of the things too is, and I mentioned my son who is 18 years old. He's a baseball player, and he watched Angels in the Outfield. Your career has spanned generations. And I mean kids and adults to kids. What do you attribute that to?
Well, I've been in good shows. I mean, I've just been in good shows, and somehow I've been able to do a little reinvention as I go along, because I think if you stay the same, people get tired of it. You're in a pigeonhole, and that's what you see. And I like to go out and try and do other things. I think that's it. I think also, you got to stay in shape. You got to stay healthy. I got lucky. I'm on two shows right now. I'm on two shows that the kids, really, the Raising Canaan on Stars, and I'm playing a bad guy, which is so much fun. And then I'm on HALT, Sex and the City's remake on HBO.
Yep.
So I'm doing those shows. So I'm back in the sort of the public guy. I was walking down the street Saturday. I went to vote early, and I was walking on Columbus Avenue near 72nd Street, and a guy said to me, "Hey, Mr. Danza," he said, he said, "You were great on Canaan," And then I went into the polling, I voted, and a poll worker came up to me and asked me, I had my mask on, and she said, "Could you take your mask off?" And I said, "Why?" And she said, "Because I want to know if you're that guy on Canaan." So, it helps to be in shows that they're watching. I
think it stems back to you too, that the likability. I mean, just talking to you right now, you have the enthusiasm of a little kid too, what you're doing. I mean, and that's amazing. And correct me. I mean, you're not taking anything for granted.
No, and I sing a song in the show. Which I really love. It's called "I Don't Remember Ever Growing Up," written by Artie Butler. Hence I wonder why I like it. Anyway, it has a line in the end. It says, "Because now I'm so aware of how life goes by at twice the speed of light." And I just really am aware of that, and how you have to make every minute count. You have to savor it. When I'm with the guys, the band, we put our hands together before the show, every show, and I come up with something, and we have this crazy cheer that we say. But every time I kind of tell them, this is finite. As much fun as we're having and how great it is, it's finite, and we better savor every minute of it. And that's what I think is really important.
One of the things I want people to be aware of too is that you are giving back. And people may not know that, but your kids acting program that you started, I know is very dear to you.
Oh, it's great. We just went out on our own. We've been with the Police Athletic League. We were with the All-Stars for a couple of years here in New York. Then we went with the Police Athletic League for almost 8 years. And we interacted with over 5,000 kids. We got over almost 200 of them in college. We got graduates. We got, it's really exciting. But now we're moving out on our own. We're going to do it on our own. It's called the Stars of Tomorrow Project. It's an acting program, a teen acting program. And the slogan is because when you teach a kid how to act, you teach a kid how to act.
Yeah. It's got to give you a big thrill when you see the success that the kids have.
It's mind-boggling. I'm telling you, we do a show every year. The classes are so much fun. We do a lot of, of course, we're taking them up to, we have a relationship with Purchase College, SUNY Purchase and Vanderbilt and a lot of other colleges. And we take the kids and they get to stand on a campus. When I went to college, my mother said go to school, but she didn't know what the heck, she didn't know anything about college. So I went there. I didn't know what, these kids get a chance to meet with other students, meet with faculty members, meet with administrators, meet with the admissions people. I mean, so it's really up. And what we're finding with the kids is that the schools are so interested in diversifying their student body that they help you. They will even help you with financing, because you don't want to dangle college and then tell the kid you can't afford it.
Right. So, yeah. And especially nowadays.
Right, exactly. So we're trying to make that happen, and the program is, and just so you know, so Danny DeVito and Jim Brooks. Jim Brooks is, was the creator of Taxi, and of course, this genius man, and Danny, the greatest kid, the greatest man. He's my mentor. And they made a huge donation to the thing that put me back on the map, and we're in operation now. We're looking for a headquarters in New York City, and I'm telling you, this program is so good that the worst kid comes because it's free, so they come, and everybody wants to be an actor, so they show up. They don't want to do anything. 3 days later, you take 3 classes. The kids are like, I have to support my ensemble. I mean, it's wild, and it really works. And there's no. I really believe, I'm hoping that once we get this thing going and it's really get some awareness about it, now that we're on our own, I don't see why it can't be in every city in America.
It sounds like an inner city thing too, though.
Because we can't, if we think that all these kids, after all they've been through, all the stuff they watch, all the stuff that they see, are just going to be well-adjusted someday. I mean, we have to engage them. We have to give them something that takes their mind off this and onto something productive, and makes them understand that there's a responsibility to being part of a society. I walk around the city all the time. I always want to tell people, hey, pretend it's a city. You know what I mean? There's other people here, That's actually Fran Lebowitz said that, and
that's a great line.
Yeah, pretend it's a city.
I'm
excited about the program, really, Jim. Thank you for bringing it up.
I know you're busy. I'll give you one last question, though, and this I just thought of now, because I know you're a Yankee fan. Did they sign Aaron Judge?
It's really interesting. How do you not sign him? and the problem is he hurt himself a little bit. He hurt himself by just, folding in the playoffs. I hate to say it, but he just, and I know it's not supposed to, supposed to have any effect, but, psychologically it does. I think there's going to be a bidding war. I think there may be a bid from the other team in New York too. Wow. Because what the guy does is, he puts, in the seats, and he sells merchandise like, so this guy's he first of all, what he did during the season was just, it was, I marveled at it, watching him he really, as you said, I'm a bit of an athlete. He's 6'7", 6'8".
Yeah. He's a freak.
He moves like a middleweight. It's wild, So, and then he hits the ball like that. It's been fun to watch him. I would be sick if he went anywhere else.
I wish you the best of luck Friday night. It has been a great thrill to talk to you.
Come see the show. I'm telling you, I you know what I try to do? I try to make sure that people feel they got their money's worth. I
think they'll be, like I said, I think there's a buzz here in the city. We're looking forward to seeing you. Hopefully you get here a little early and take a little tour. But it's great talking to you.
I'm going to get in the day before, actually, coming Thursday. So we'll see you. Thank you, Jim. I appreciate the time.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
All righty. Bye-bye now.
See you at the Z.